Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win, and we're back for another edition of Diablo 3. I've been getting asked this question a lot on the channel, a lot in emails, a lot in the comment section, which I've had to filter it out a wee bit. So I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Popular question next is, why haven't I been playing Diablo 3 or even Diablo 2 recently on the channel? So let's first start off with the elephant in the room. All of you guys that pretty much watch my Diablo 3 content and Diablo 2 content, and I'm very thankful for you guys, because without you and your support, probably the channel wouldn't have popped off as much as it has. Everybody's probably at this point familiar with the Blizzard and Activision lawsuit. Now, in case you're not really familiar with what the lawsuit entails, it's basically a sexual harassment / misogyny lawsuit against Blizzard and Activision's work practices. I've tried to avoid really talking too much about it on the channel, because I feel like two things can be true at the same time. You can hate a company for their actions, but you can like a game and its franchise. Well, the reason I kind of stopped making Diablo 3 content, and even to a lesser extent Diablo 2 content, was the fact that the Blizzard Activision lawsuit just keeps getting worse and worse. Now, every once in a while, you'll hear a new allegation come out in regards to the irreprehensible workplace incidents that have occurred within Blizzard in particular, and to a lesser extent Activision, which now owns Blizzard. On top of that, recently there's been a lot of company employees walking out calling for the firing of the CEO, and they have yet to fire said CEO. And in fact, now they try to come up with this task force where the CEO, who's in question for those horrible practices, is going to be part of that task force, which makes absolutely zero sense to me. And the thing about it is, every time I'm about to make like a Diablo 3 or a Diablo 2 video for that matter, something new comes to light in regards to Blizzard and Activision. And believe it or not, when all this started, when the lawsuit made news the first time around, I actually started getting a lot of hateful comments when I was still putting out Diablo 3 videos in particular, in which people were pretty mean to me in the comments and saying that I'm a horrible human being for making Diablo content, and how I wasn't supporting supposedly people in the community. Now, again, like I said before, two things can be true at the same time. You can like a franchise but hate the company responsible and not condone their actions, which is pretty much where I stand when it comes to Diablo 3. So because everything was going on with the lawsuit, and I felt like it was not necessarily very appropriate at the time to continue to make Diablo 3 content, I was kind of hoping for things to kind of die down a little bit before deep diving into it again. That's pretty much what I did in terms of channel content. Now, the important thing to also note here is that when I made this decision, I had already covered everything in Diablo 3 Season 24. I covered all the armors. Case in point, this was one of them. 2-minute and 59-second clear time, greater of 70. So as you can see here, I still got it. I'm still working on these armors, even though you don't see me doing it so much on this channel as much anymore. But when I made that active decision to pull content for the time being, because of everything that was going on with the lawsuit, I had covered everything in Season 24 that you possibly could cover. I covered all the armors. I showed you guys all the builds, which are all still available for the season in the playlist. And I decided that it was time to take a little bit of a break. Subsequently, at the time that I decided to take this break, Diablo 2 Resurrected was just around the horizon. So, as most of you know who follow me on my Twitch channel, you've seen that I have been playing some Diablo 2 Resurrected, as well as played Diablo 2 Resurrected here on my YouTube channel. So when it comes to Diablo 2 Resurrected, I started making some beginner guides. People's interest in that was pretty high at the start, but like what happens every time I do make Diablo content, obviously people are only interested in the metagame endgame builds, and as most content creators will tell you that are playing through Diablo 2 Resurrected and don't have access to old save files where they could just carry over all their data and builds from years and years and years ago, we all kind of have to work from scratch. And Diablo 2, as most of the people know from when I was talking about it here on this YouTube channel in various videos, takes a very long time to get to endgame and to get the proper gear and everything of the sort. So I got to the point where I made all the beginner guides, and honestly, I need a lot of time to be able to work on the endgame builds because certain armors and certain pieces that you need to make endgame builds take forever to drop, and unlike a lot of our popular Diablo 2 content creators in particular that have access to their old files or just simply turn on their old Diablo 2 game to show off those builds and everything of the sort, I don't have access to that type of thing. I have to do everything from scratch. I don't have old save files. I don't have a computer that runs Diablo 2, the original one, to show off old builds and everything of the sort. So that is one of the reasons why it's been taking me a long time to make Diablo 2 Resurrected content. Now, in regards to Diablo 3, it's pretty obvious that Diablo 3 Season 25 is just around the horizon. In fact, Diablo Season 24, if I remember correctly from the date, is officially ending on December 7th. When it ends, I think we're going to have either a week to a week and a half before we get the official confirmation for Diablo 3 Season 25. Season 25 is going to feature some interesting gems that will be only accessible for that particular season, which are going to open up the door for some very intriguing and interesting builds. Season 25 also is going to see some interesting reworks and buffs to certain things that I actually really think needed buffs that we ironically talked about in Season 24. I always have a feeling like Blizzard people watch my videos because whenever I complain about something, and not really complain, but whenever I talk about things that need buffs and things that need nerfs, they tend to do those things in the next season. Alright, Greater Rift 70, as you see with Whirlwind Barbarian, 2 minutes and 30-second clear time, so still super fast. You can see that build in the playlist video, so definitely check them out. But with that being said, let's talk about some of the armors that are going to be getting buffs and reworks and nerfs. Let's start off with the one thing that's getting nerfed in Season 25. Now, as all of you are aware, in Season 23 of Diablo 3, the Firebird's Finery set armor, which is the Firebird set, got a massive rework. It got a complete overhaul, so it went from like being an F tier armor to actually being close to A, and even some people have been able to make it an S tier armor in its playstyles. Well, Blizzard has decided to nerf the 6-piece bonus a wee bit to take it down a notch in terms of its power. So Firebird, if you're a fan of it, is going to be seeing a minor decrease in power. It's not going to affect the armor too much. It'll probably still be in the top echelon of S tier to pretty much maybe borderline A tier. It's not going to infect things too much, but they did weaken the power significantly with the 6-piece bonus. The next armor that we're going to be talking about is stuff that actually is getting buffed. Believe it or not, a lot of the Demon Hunter armors are going to be getting buffs in Season 25. One particular buff that I find incredibly interesting is the embodiment of the Marauder set armor for the Demon Hunter. Embodiment of the Marauder set armor used to be mostly focused on pets and sentries. They went back now, and they are reworking the 4-piece and 6-piece bonuses. Now, this might change when we do get the final patch notes going into the actual release of Season 25, but they made it so that the sentries do a lot more power, which opens up a lot more possibilities in terms of the Kanai's Cube, because now you can have 2 more sentries with 1 items, and maybe now that particular build will be more viable. But Embodiment of Marauder seeing a rework where it's going to focus less so on the pets and more so on the sentries, which I think is very important because I feel like the sentries were what did the most amount of damage in that build anyway, so why not perfectly augment its particular power. So it's going to be a sentry build, and it's going to be a bit more reminiscent, believe it or not, of the assassin, trap assassin builds that you see in Diablo 2 Resurrected, because the sentries are very similar to the lightning sentries and the death sentries from that particular game. Now, the other set armor that's going to be focused in Diablo Season 25 for the Demon Hunter that's seeing a massive buff in terms of power is the Shadow armor in particular, which is the Shadow Impale armor. Now, that armor in particular, they are buffing the amount of impale damage in the 6-piece bonus. They're also going to increase the amount of blades fire off as well. So they've gone back and they looked at that and they've increased the amount of power. Now, anybody who's seen my Shadow's Mantle set armor video knows that with that particular set armor, you would have to kind of be very careful with where you were firing off your impales, because if you're not too careful, you miss hitting a lot of mobs, and that would leave you very susceptible. So obviously Blizzard has gone back, looked at that particular build, and decided that that needed some reworks as well. So that's very, very much welcome. Now, another surprise, and this was something that I complained about also, believe it or not, in Season 24 videos that I made, Bones of Rothmon set armor is in fact getting a rework, a little bit of a rework. The 6-piece bonus of the Bones of Rothmon is actually going to be increased in the amount of damage that it does. So now Army of the Dead is going to do a lot more damage based on the amount of minions that you have active. I think this is perfect because I feel like the armor is still a bit weak, and as Blizzard had mentioned in their patch notes in the PTB, they wanted to kind of bring up Rothmon a little bit in power because it was underperforming despite the rework that they did in Season 23. So after 2 seasons, they finally went back to make Rothmon feel a little bit more powerful. I don't particularly think it's going to be a S-tier armor by any standards, but I'd probably go from a solid C to B tier to maybe potentially borderline top B tier to maybe borderline low A tier type of armor, depending on the builds and everything of the sort. Now, in terms of set armors and armors that are getting buffed and reworked, those are pretty much what's been covered in the patch notes. However, interesting enough, Blizzard has decided that they wanted to help augment the power of the Hammer of the Ancients skill. Now, they decided not to go back and look at the Immortal King's set armor and give it maybe a buff to the Hammer of the Ancients skill. Instead, what they decided is that they're picking a specific amount of legendary set items and increasing the amount of damage and power and cooldown of the Hammer of the Ancients. So I have a feeling when it comes to Season 25 of Diablo III, the Hammer of the Ancients Immortal Kings builds will start seeing a lot more variation. They also did something where they went and reworked some of the legendary items, which give you buffs to the Call of the Ancients as well. So I have a bit of a feeling, I guess you could say, or even a suspicion, that we might see potentially Immortal Kings go from a solid B armor, even though some people will argue it's a A-tier armor, to potentially S-tier, depending on how well you can get the Kanai's Cube to work with some of these particular new things that they have to play with. But the thing that I'm most excited for Season 25 is really being able to experiment a bit more with the Immortal King's Hammer of the Ancients build, because there's more tools at our disposal. So, and I've always been a pretty big fan of that particular armor. I know obviously Whirlwind is the end-all to be-all, but we really need a nerd armor that's not a frenzy build that can do pretty amazing things for the Barbarian class. So if it brings it up to the point where it's like a upper A-tier armor, or even S-tier, I'm perfectly fine with that, because I enjoy that particular playstyle for the Barbarian more so than Whirlwind, which is kind of boring, and as I say, you just hold the button and you spin to win, and there's really no recourse for that. Now, in terms of another armor, actually, that I just looking at the patch notes realized I overlooked, is that the Witch Doctor is getting a buff to one of its armors. Now, sadly, it is not the Zunimasa set armor that I was hoping. That was, in fact, the last Diablo 3 video I made for Season 24, but it is the Spirit of the Iraq set, which is the one with the giant spider. Well, they're going back and reworking the set armor so that the spider, and particularly corpse spider abilities, actually work with the set armor and get a significant buff in damage. So it will be interesting to see what type of builds come about because of this general rework. I still think that the Fire Bats build is probably going to be the way to go with the Spirit of Iraq. However, having a different type of build option that might potentially be viable, particularly since Corpse Spiders, really, when you put in the build, haven't been able to do really too much because it always feels kind of weak and usually it would only take you to about, maybe if you're lucky, a greater of 55 to greater of 60. There is potential here to maybe have a decent, solid B-tier build for them with the Corpse Spiders. Obviously, time will tell in regards to how far it gets, but it's a very exciting change. Now, like I said, Diablo Season 24 ends on December 7th. That means we're probably not going to see Season 25. I doubt it's going to be a 2-day overlay from the next season. Chances are it's probably going to be the following week to even maybe the week before Christmas. Let me see here. I'm going to try to pull up a calendar real quick here so I can give you an estimate, a proper estimate. It always goes live on a Friday, right? So today is Thursday, December 2nd. Highly unlikely that you will see a Diablo Season 25 release on December 10th. I would say, considering maybe they will put this game on sale right before Christmas or around Christmas, particularly like on the Nintendo Switch as well as other platforms, I would say it's a safe bet that Blizzard in particular is going to probably target the December 17th start date for Diablo III Season 25. That way they can push copies of this game digitally on various platform shops right in time for Christmas. You'll get a whole bunch of new people. Maybe you'll get people that just bought Diablo II Resurrected and decide to move over that way. So I think probably in terms of marketing, in my honest opinion, it would make more sense for it to be a December 17th start date for Season 25. Now, what does this mean really when it comes to channel content for Diablo 3 and particularly also Diablo 2? It's been asked if I'm going to continue making videos for that. Well, let's address another elephant in the room. As I've always mentioned on this channel, and I've had to mention in comments and everything of the sort, when I made Drakescape Gaming and I made the channel, the goal always has been to be a variety channel here. We are not tied to one specific game. I've said it many times before, if I have to play one game on this channel, and only one game, forever and ever, and make content for that one particular game forever and ever, I would be incredibly bored, and I probably would quit content creation because I would be uninterested and feel like I'm being stifled in terms of creativity, and it would probably stop being fun for me. When I made Diablo 3 content in the beginning of this channel, it was really just supposed to be a seasonal thing in which I decided I was going to kind of put games on for a certain amount of seasons. So there'd be a fall season, a winter season, a spring season, a summer season. I would rotate games out every particular season. What ended up happening with Diablo 3 content is that people responded so well to the guides that it ended up being a mainstay on the channel. And at one point I was putting out Diablo 3 videos a week covering all the season stuff. Right now, where I stand in terms of the games of Diablo 3 and Diablo 2, when it comes to the new season, I will be making guides for Season 25, but it's only going to be one video a week. The fact of the matter is, I have most of these builds already ready to go, and it's just kind of popping in the proper things in the Kanai's Cube, and those builds will be ready to go to make videos for it, so I don't have to really grind a whole bunch for it. The other thing is, honestly, I'm more interested in playing other games on this channel at this point. You know, I enjoy playing Dead by Daylight, VHS. I'm going to be getting a beta key for that in the not-too-distant future. And in terms of future content, I really want to give VHS a lot of my love and time and attention because the developers were kind enough to reach out. And, you know what, I'm going to show companies that show me the type of respect and love and everything of the sort, they're flowers, and I'm going to give them more attention and focus. Like, people have always asked, why am I not a Diablo partner on this particular channel, despite the fact that I have a couple of Diablo videos that do significantly well? Well, the answer to that question is, honestly, I didn't even know that there was a Diablo partnership that was available. And like I said before, at this point, I'm trying my best to kind of distance myself from any direct connection with Blizzard. I know that's probably channel suicide in one retrospect, but the fact of the matter is I don't want to get too close or attached to a company that has a lot of internal issues going on right now. And on top of those internal issues, that doesn't really respect its employees particularly their women employees, with the proper respect and, you know, care that they deserve. And, you know, you could probably say maybe some of these accusations could potentially be maybe not the most credible or anything of the sort. That's not my place to judge. I'm not a court. And, you know what, I'm not even going to kind of entertain some of those thoughts that people have tried to entertain on this channel, and I've shut down. You know, fact of the matter is misogyny in the workplace is really not tolerable. Whether it's true or not and everything of the sort, the courts are going to decide that. But I personally can't in good faith want to be like a partner of Blizzard and be a Diablo partner of the sort with the type of stuff that's going on. You know what, the fact that they won't fire their CEO in particular is like a big red flag for me. It's kind of like they're just kind of trying to do damage control and really don't care, and they're more concerned about the fact that they got caught with it. You know, so with that being said, you know what, I am going to make Diablo 3 content and Diablo 2 content on the channel. I'm not going to probably promise right now at this point that it's going to be weekly content. I am going to make a guide for every armor in Season 25 when it comes out. Obviously, I'm going to cover the armors that got the buffs and the reworks and the particular builds that you can work with the buffs and reworks and nerfs and everything of the sort when the season comes up. Those are going to be the priority things, and then we'll go back and look at the armors that are just kind of more the same, and we'll cover them as well. In regards to Diablo 2 Resurrected content, like I said earlier on in this video, it's going to take a while for me to be able to work on Diablo 2 builds and get them to endgame, and because, like I mentioned before, I play a tremendous amount of games, not only on this channel, but also on the Twitch channel, my focus is often split between a wide variety of games, so it's going to take me a while. And as you guys know, when I make those Diablo 2 endgame builds, that's pretty much it for Diablo content in terms of Diablo 2 content on this channel, because we won't really have anything else to cover with those. So, you know, like I always say when it comes to Diablo as a game in general for the franchise, it's a marathon, it's not a race, and I'm not in a rush really to get any of the stuff out when there's a lot of other games that have like updates and are updated constantly and consistently there. You know, with that being said though, I felt like it was very important to give my audience a bit of a heads up as to what exactly was going on with, you know, Diablo 3 content, because again, like I say, I appreciate all the support and the love that you give, and I'm going to continue to support you guys with those guides and stuff, because I know there's a lot of you that rely on me to put out these videos and, you know, like seeing these builds and working with these builds and getting a head start, particularly the newer Diablo 3 players that are probably picking it up on the Nintendo Switch, you know, during the holiday season for the first time and don't really know where else to go, because you could go to a larger channel for Diablo content and you'll leave a question or comment and it doesn't necessarily always get answered, because some of the bigger content creators in regards to this franchise just you know, it gets lost in a sea of comments and everything of the sort. So I'm going to continue to support you guys because you guys continue to support me. But just let it be known that, you know, it's going to probably be one video a week. It's not going to be like it used to be here on this channel where, you know, on Season 23, you know, there were 3 videos a week for Diablo, because that was never really the goal that I've had with this channel. You know, so I wanted to do variety and give you guys the most variety. And giving you guys the most variety means that sometimes I have to make sacrifices in terms of content where it's, you know, got to be a bit more balanced, which is pretty much what I've been trying to do now in the month of December. And also keep in mind that because I don't cover something Diablo related here on the YouTube channel, we have a completely brand new platform that we started in September, our Twitch streaming, where we can cover Diablo stuff. Because if you guys have been following me on my Twitch, same name as this channel, Dreadscape Gaming, you've seen that I work on my Diablo 2 builds every so often on my Twitch stream, and you just see me grinding and getting them to hell difficulty and looking and grinding for the gear that I need and everything of the sort. So, you know, if you're not following me on Twitch, same name, Dreadscape Gaming, do so, because I do play Diablo on the channel every so often. When I'm in the mood, I make the builds, and in the future, there's a possibility that when I put my Nintendo Switch, you know, pretty much connected to my computer, and it's a little bit easier for me to stream Switch games, because at the minute, my setup kind of doesn't really allow for it very comfortably. We probably could play some Diablo 3 there, and I'll do, you know, playing with viewers and everything of the sort. you know, there's a long-term plan, which is why I wanted to also start Twitch streaming as well, so that I have ways to continue to support my viewers with content that might not necessarily be able to always be focused on YouTube. So definitely, if you are a Diablo player and you like the content, definitely make sure you subscribe to our Twitch channel, Dreadscape Gaming, because in the future there will be more streams that are Diablo related. And keep in mind, looking long term in regards to Diablo as a franchise, Diablo 4 eventually, I mean, it's going to take a long time considering all the crap that's going on right now with Blizzard, is eventually going to get released. And that's going to be on the PC, which opens up any game I play on the PC. Pretty much it's very easy for me to stream, which is what I'm getting at. Diablo, on my Switch streaming it, it's kind of a nightmare because I have to move my capture card to a different room along with the Switch and everything of the sort. And it becomes very uncomfortable to be able to do these things comfortably. And I'd be like tangled up in a whole bunch of wires because of the way my setup is currently. But, you know, it's stuff that is going to be coming, you know, potentially in the channel in the future when the setup is a little bit more optimal. You guys never see my setup, but it's not the most optimal at the moment, to say the very least. So definitely make sure to follow on the Twitch channel as well, because sometimes when I'm not playing Diablo here, I'm playing Diablo on Twitch. Sometimes when I'm not playing, like, let's say a game like Monster Hunter here, I'm playing it on Twitch. And sometimes I play games that are just exclusive to my Twitch channel as well. So definitely make sure you are following me on Twitch to see. Maybe I'm playing a lot of Diablo 2 there on a certain week, give or take. I'm probably going to have to play some Diablo 2 on Twitch in the not-too-distant future. Probably next week, I would say, is the best way to consider a time to do it. Okay, so as you saw there, all my builds are still super S tier and can clear greater of 70s for farming effectively, super fast and easy. All these things are available in the builds. Anyway, guys, that's basically where we are with Diablo on the channel. I felt like it was very important to let you guys who've supported me so long from the Diablo community in on what's going on. As always, a like on this video is greatly appreciated. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow, and I will see you in the not too distant future for another Diablo video. Till next time, guys.